Just make sure we get a green light here.
Straight.
That is a green light.
I talked to this guy and he's like, talk Leah out of going to rescue her uncle, and the first thing I say to Leah is, come on Leah, we're going to rescue your uncle. Like that.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome to a very tired edition of No Excuses on VTWProductions.com with your favorite show hosts, Ara Still,
Fenurian,
And Volatile, and we're here to bring you the latest news and commentary on the video games industry for the week, such as it has been. But first of all, if you would like to get involved with the show, you can do so by sending us emails at noexcusesvtw@gmail.com, by following us on the tweeters at noexcusesvtw, or you can join us in our Discord chat channel. Everybody's got a Discord chat channel these days, and we are no exception. The easiest way to get there is to go to vtwproductions.com and click on the No Excuses logo on any of our recent show posts, which will take you to our channel where you can talk with the other listeners and the show hosts at pretty much any time, and basically just view the meaning posting that we put in.
Yeah, there's a lot of meaningless blather going on in there.
Well, that's what Discord is really for.
It is. It's kind of replaced forums and voice chat and everything for that. We're going to fanboy about Discord if we're not careful, though, so let's not do that. Alright, so this week's show brought to you by a new computer. Mostly.
Yay! At least that part of the show won't fall apart, maybe.
Maybe.
Oh, you went and said it now. Why did you
You've
do that?
ruined everything. Now everything's going to catch fire and burn and explode.
We'll be fine.
Fan. I need to turn off
At this
the
point,
toggles.
we actually expect it, so it's not going to happen.
Yeah, like there's a little bit of lag and hiccup going on at the moment, but there's not a whole lot that can really be done about that.
That is probably my fault. I have been all over the place and exhausted today, and have not done the runaround and closed every single electronic device before the show. During the next break, I will see if I missed any. I don't think I did, but we'll talk about it later.
Yeah, I think I've got people trying to jam data through my home network as well at the moment too, which does not help, but never mind. So, on the stream this week, I'm playing a little bit of Grim Dawn. I'm going to roll up a new character and try out a new build, which is the problem with these Titan Questy type games, is you get halfway through, or not even halfway through, and get a new idea for a character build.
It's like, I'll start again.
I want to try
That's
this.
the reason why I've never made it past the end of Act 1 in Titan Quest, because it's like, I'm going to roll another character.
Yeah, like, this is fun, but doing this other combo could be even more fun. So yeah, it's the reason I haven't really gotten to... Well, I've gotten to maybe about the halfway point of the original quest of Grim Dawn. And yeah, I keep hitting that point. So I might go Inquisitor and Stormbringer, or whatever it was called. Shaman? Something like that anyway. So guns and lightning. Alright. So yeah, I guess we just jump straight into the week, shall we? So yeah, this week, built a new computer. Yeesh. I've still reused a lot of the old parts, like hard drives and things like that, but yeah, new motherboard, processor, RAM, and it hasn't crashed yet. It's lasted officially longer than my old computer was. So, yeah. It's nice having a computer which will day to day have the same amount of RAM.
How old was your old one when you retired it?
The bits that I replaced were approaching about 9 years old. So, yeah. Like, there was nothing really wrong with that power of processor. It could still go, but after running 9 years in moderately heavy load, it's going to give up eventually. And I'd already burned out 2 RAM sticks of that set. So, yeah. Problem is, though, is Microsoft is a butt. And I've been trying to activate Windows and going through their troubleshooter, because if you replace your motherboard, you've got to reactivate Windows. And doing a fresh reinstall didn't help either. But there's a troubleshooter for it. So you've replaced your motherboard, you click troubleshooter, and then you click I've replaced my motherboard, and then it just ums and ahs for a bit, and then says, nah, I can't contact the server, couldn't be bothered. So, yeah, something's gone horribly wrong. I'm tossing up what's going to be less painful, though. Forking over money for a new copy of Windows or a new license, because Oz Game Shop actually has them really cheap at the moment. Or ringing Microsoft support.
I haven't heard any bad reports about Microsoft support. I haven't heard any good ones either, so...
Last time I rang them, they accused me of being a thief and hung up on me.
What?
That's pretty special.
Yeah.
That's... Well, at least they spoke English.
English in air quotes. Broken, fractured English. Because, yeah, outsourcing is apparently what everybody does these days, no matter how many bad problems it causes. Stop outsourcing, people! People might hate your customer service less.
But that cheap labour, brah.
That cheap labour, you get what you pay for.
Gotta get that sweet, sweet cheap labour.
Yep. Or they could hire people in their own country, pay a little bit more, and get people who are actually able to think for themselves in the field.
Well, I mean, they can get people that do the job, but if that's sort of contingent on them caring if the job gets done.
True, true. And frankly, they'd replace everybody with robots in a heartbeat if they could.
You know, they aren't hiring people to be nice.
No.
They're hiring people to, you know, meet the minimum possible requirements.
Well, minimum possible requirements to the customer, maximum to the business. Which means, yeah, some truly horrible working conditions. Ugh. And it's not just Microsoft that does that. Everyone who has a major call center is pretty horrible. So yeah, I'll try ring them and see how that goes. I'm not having high hopes though, because I'm expecting them to do something stupid like, you know, call me a thief and hang up again. Even though it's technically the same computer, technically.
We'll have a memorial for the free time you sacrificed in this great endeavor.
Yeah. I'm expecting at least 2 hours on hold. And then, yeah, some Indian call center. No, wait, India's not efficient anymore. It's usually Philippines here. Which isn't much better.
Oh, that's how it is it?
Yeah. I just died because I did a dumb. Never mind. So, yeah, so far so good with the computer, aside from, you know, Windows not being able to be customized and having a stupid watermark which covers over every single informational pop-up I get, which includes Discord, by the way, which is really annoying.
I love that out-of-the-box Windows.
So ugly. It gives you the option now when you reinstall it to disable Cortana, except it lies. Cortana is still there.
Cortana is never gone. Cortana's always lurking in the background.
She is there. She is watching you.
I don't even remember all the steps I had to take to tie her up and lock her in some back corner of this PC where she can't access very much.
It involved going through maybe half a dozen different menus and disabling several seemingly unrelated systems, if I recall.
It was no small feat of Googling to figure out how to do it.
No, and that's also to stop Windows watching you. Like, there's options.
Yeah.
There's options when you install, like it says, here are your security options. Would you like Windows to watch you and stare at you while you work? Would you like us to keep a log of your internet history? They don't phrase it quite so like that, but it's not far removed.
Windows is a creeper.
The best part is, Cortana still can't find drives other than the C drive.
Yeah.
Index them.
That's just dumb. Like, really, really dumb. Like, I might consider using it. No, I wouldn't. If if it could actually search the drives.
Let's not get carried away here.
Okay, that was a blatant lie. I still wouldn't use it, Cortana. I do not want your unhelpful system, Windows. Go away.
Nobody likes you, Cortana.
So, speaking of unruly AIs, I played a bit of Nier Automata to bench test this new system.
A good video game.
Very good video game. Very strange video game because, yeah, when you reviewed it good grief, it was almost a year ago now. When you reviewed it, you didn't mention how weird it gets.
Oh,
it's
a Taro game.
Guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you know he wears that thing on his head.
Yes.
What sort of game did you
He wears his OC on his head, dog.
I was expecting certain degrees of weirdness, like strange stories and whatnot. I was not expecting to see a field of robots dry humping and then a guy crawl out of his own corpse.
This is the dude Kodaka, the writer of Danganronpa, has to tell to calm the F down all the time. He's acting too weird.
Yeah. Yeah, that mask isn't just for show, it's to keep the voices out.
He is a weird dude who's read way too many philosophy books.
The weird kind.
That is what Yoko Taro is.
Yeah. So yeah, it took me a little bit to get used to the controls, and mostly because I guess I had to learn to dodge roll just a little bit sooner than I otherwise might in that game. It's just how the timing seemed to work out for me. Yeah.
It's a window slightly before the attack hits when you have to dodge instead of the moment it hits, because the frames last like 2 billion years.
Yeah, and that threw me off initially.
You can literally hammer the R button and dodge forever if a monster is chaining attacks together, and you will not get hit.
Provided you get that initial dodge right.
Yeah, there's no rhythm to it. Just mash that R button as hard as you can. Yeah,
I discovered that. So in a fight against a field of little trash can robots, I was just mashing the button, and there was, 2 bees going everywhere. Because she apparently explodes when she dodges, for some reason.
That's a thing you have equipped right now that lets your dodge do AoE damage.
Ah, that's that.
Yeah, that's an item, or that's one of the chips.
Yeah.
I forget which one.
It's one of them. I forget which one. I forgot what I've got equipped at the moment. So yeah, the chip system takes a bit of getting used to as well. So as you go through your game, you get chips, and you only have a certain amount of memory in which to run them. Problem is some of these chips also include things like your HUD and your brain.
Yeah, you remove that, you get the bad end. One of them, anyway.
Yeah, don't take your brain out, you die.
There's a lot of weird, dumb ways you can cause a game over in that game. They're all funny.
Yeah.
Don't eat the fish, by the way.
That boggles the mind. Okay, this is a game about robots trying to, resave Earth and get it back for humanity who's living on the moon. But why is there a fishing minigame?
Because they always have one. Always.
Yeah, they do, and I don't know why. Stop it.
No, like specifically.
Because
specifically, Yoko Taro has to have one in there.
Well, more specifically, the Nier honestly terrible, so he made it again.
So now you just
basically it's what do you call it? Quadrant. It's Troll Romance for Yoko Taro.
So a terrible tacked-on fishing game for no discernible reason.
Yeah.
Right.
It He made headlines with it and got reviews that was so bad last time, so he had to do it again.
And this time it just involves throwing your little helper robot into the water and calling that fishing.
Yeah, you're done in like 5 minutes in this one. You don't have to sit there forever trying to figure out what was wrong with it before. I forgot what was wrong with it in the first game. I gave up.
It was that bad?
That's what was wrong with it. I gave up.
Yeah.
Mario will do all sorts of weird things for completionism's sake.
Yes, he will.
The fishing game.
This will be emphasized later in the show.
Yeah. So I tried a bit of the fishing, and honestly, when I was sitting there, I was kind of half expecting 9S to start complaining. Him and his disturbingly shiny legs. Ugh. So
Yeah, 9S is a good boy.
I don't know. If I was 9S, I'd certainly complain if 2B just sat around fishing badly.
No, he's a good boy.
But he's got better things to do, and so does 2B.
Nope, gotta go fish.
Uh,
Gotta go in the weird area north of the map once you unlock it. I think you gotta be a boss before it unlocks and get that hidden pod from the fishing minigame. It completely changes how your pod attacks.
there's good stuff hidden behind the fishing game. Damn. Now I have to do it.
Yeah, it's like, for the bonus boss at least, it's kind of semi-mandatory.
Uh,
And there's nothing in the game to tell you about it.
probably just as well you told me then.
The way he rolls. This is the way he rolls.
This is, yeah.
This is the kind of stuff you sign up for with the Yokotaro game.
Yeah, so it's a good game. It's fun, and once you get the timings down, the combat does feel very smooth. But why? There's just some decisions in there. It's just, dude, you were drunk when you did this, right? So,
No, he's this weird when he's sober.
ugh.
Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah, he drinks, actually. I think I've seen pictures of him in bars. I think he was...
All Japanese men drink.
Yeah.
Heavily.
But at least the games like Swery or Suda51, they can blame the booze to a point. Yokotaro can't.
Yeah, he's just that weird. Just how he is.
Yeah. Showing up wearing his weird mask and a dressing gown on E3. Incidentally, I wouldn't be surprised if we see him again at this coming E3.
Yeah.
It's about due for some weird announcement.
The Yokotaro game finally happened. It wasn't terrible.
Yeah?
The weird story got out, and the game was good. And both camps were happy.
So
There's peace in the world.
if I understand
I'm pretty sure I saw an announcement somewhere saying that he was going to something.
Oh, but I've seen Suda51 make announcements. Be afraid. And Kojima is... Let's face it, Kojima's going rapidly down that same road now. What even is that game? Was it Death Standing or something? It involves tar babies.
It's really weird. I watched the extended trailer for it. It doesn't explain anything.
It just raises more questions.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll find out some answers, but
thing that's happening.
yeah.
Don't count on it. They're going to play the mystery up on this one as marketing material for as long as they think it's profitable.
I don't know. I think maybe starting to think that Kojima is one of these crazy auteurs as well, but he's at least had the shackles on with Konami.
Yeah, he's definitely a crazy auteur, but unlike say Peter Molyneux, he actually does some work sometimes.
Molyneux's a cast all of his own. He's also a blatant liar.
Well, he's like the example of the auteur creator who can't, turn his auteurness into any kind of output.
Yeah. He didn't used to be. He used to make some really good games.
Yeah, probably because he was subordinated to somebody.
Probably. Someone who
Somebody
actually knows what they're
sat him
doing.
down and made him work.
Well, no, it's not a matter of knowing what you're doing. It's a matter of telling him that he's not going to have a job next week if he doesn't, present something at the next milestone meeting.
Yeah.
Like, you need to have a way to rein these types in. You can't just assume that they're going to behave, because they never do.
Tim Schafer, anyone?
not if given a free hand, they're not going to bother to live up to any of your requirements. I mean, why would they?
Yeah.
You kind of need to have the stick as well as the carrot.
Mm-hmm.
There's a communism discussion that could happen right here, but I'm going to let it slide.
Yeah, let's not go down that road, shall we? So yeah.
His birthday.
Oh, why no? Why is that celebrated?
People
If anything,
with
it should be
very,
mourned.
very short and selective memory.
Yeah. Oh boy, oh boy. So we're getting off topic anyway. So yeah, Nier Automata, Tomato. It's good.
Auto Tomato.
Auto Tomato.
Hey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did your game?
Is good.
I enjoyed all my time with it.
Yeah. So far I haven't gotten too far into it. I've just had the what I've assumed to be either the next evolution of enemy or possibly the final boss make an appearance by crawling out of his own corpse.
Doesn't have like a weird final boss type of rhythm game, does it?
I don't know, but it's happened in the past. That's how the world kind of got ruined in the first place, from what I understand. Giant.
They make. Yeah, they make reference to it, but there is no proper rhythm game boss where the camera zooms away from the sequences that you have to see to push the buttons in time.
There's
you
at least
need to go find some guide online.
Does at least the final box, conform to the established gameplay up until that point?
No.
Damn it!
It's not your regular game creator. I don't know why you would expect it to be a regular game.
I'm thinking at this point he might do it just to change things up.
What, be normal?
Be normal, yes. But no.
The point of Yoko Taro is to play with your expectations of what you think's coming, and then when you think you got him figured out, you're wrong.
Like having the game end 3 times, for example.
Yes. Pretty much.
Which incidentally fooled every single person who reviewed it because they didn't bother to look to see if the game continued after that point. And then
Well,
there is
video
nothing
games.
to miss. These people are just dumb. They never got to the end of the first route. That's how you know they didn't play, because there's a big message that pops up at the top of your screen that says, "This is only half the game. Play it again to unlock the last half of the game."
Except that's also a lie because there's a chapter afterwards.
Like, yeah, but it keeps going. There's no stopping at the end of Route B. You hit the Route B, get the check mark for the ending, and it goes straight into Route C with no options to stop.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
So yeah, I'll keep chipping away at that because it's a lot of fun, and the world is big and interesting to explore, and there's all sorts of shiny things hiding off in corners. A lot of which I can't activate yet and can't open because I don't have the tools to do it just yet.
Yeah, we ragged on Taro a lot during this mini segment, but I will say he's weird with what he does, and he likes being weird, but he's not incompetent.
Oh no,
the stuff he comes up with is cool.
Yeah, if weird.
Generally, it all works out, at least kind of.
Somehow. Oh boy. Alright, what else did I do this week? I didn't really do anything else aside from build a new computer. Yeah, that's pretty much it for my week then.
Huh. I was kind of hoping you had a bit more than that.
Not really, no. It's been one of those weeks where everything kind of goes nuts.
You got no.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I meant to pull down Diablo 3, but I kind of forgot. Alright, so...
I kind of a little bit forgot.
You kind of a little bit forgot? I a lot forgot.
I cut that joke off before it got bad.
Yeah. Let's not do that, shall we?
Right.
Vol, your week, sir.
What did I do this week? I didn't do a huge amount this week, because I really, very rarely ever do, due to still, dealing with the grim reality that is the fact that working sucks.
I do not want to adult anymore. Tell me where to get off.
It doesn't seem to stop at any point. It just continues to suck. But yeah, so I've been making a spirited attempt to keep up with my anime watching. There's still stuff that I haven't watched that I intend to watch season touched yet. It just seems to be a way of things. I can't to catch up because I don't have enough time, and because I keep moving my day off, meaning I can't plan anything, I can't arrange my week in any way. My goodness. I hope that this particular period ends soon.
You're a casual employee. It probably won't.
Well, at some point, it's going to have to stop because they can't afford to have me leave.
Mm-hmm.
to put it simply, because they don't have anybody to replace me, and we are on the ragged edge of staffing. So,
yeah.
They need to get the work done. If the work doesn't get done, the clients will get mad. If the clients get mad, they will lose tens of thousands of dollars. So, yeah, you can't just abuse employees indefinitely. There's a limit that you hit sooner or later, and they are rubbing very affectionately up against that limit.
Affectionately, you say?
Yes.
Oh my.
But yeah, so I picked another random one that I hadn't watched yet this season, and watched the first few episodes of it. Sure that I get it right. I've lost it. Lost the list.
How weird are we talking here? Like
Dances with the Dragon.
Okay.
Now the thing with this is that it's not weird at all. In fact,
Okay.
the only weird thing about it is just how utterly uninteresting it is. I feel like it's trying to conform to a genre exercise without managing to be in any way interesting. There's something about this main character, and I'm not really sure what it is, but he's just not cool. Like, he's not... You can't relate to him in any way. He's not endearing. He's not a love-to-hate-him character. He's not cool. He's not badass.
Is he annoying?
He's just sort of there. He's not even annoying. He's sort of there. And
Just
the only thing he ever does is sort of react to things that other people do.
Oh dear.
Like, he doesn't seem to have a thing of his own. And they've tried to do it by... There are a lot of scenes with him interacting with his girlfriend. And it's very, 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 very mundane. And, yeah, I don't know. But basically, the premise seems to be that there is basically a sort of a semi-perpetual war taking place between humankind and dragonkind. And dragons can use magic, and at some point in the distant past, humans figured out how to harness the same ability. So humans can use magic as well, and different humans are like specialize in different types of magic. Like, they've done like all the standard fantasy stuff,
Right.
except it's just has nothing that makes it special at all.
It's just generic fantasy all the way through.
Yeah, it's set in sort of like current day level technology, except that various technology has been replaced with no clear pattern of why with magic. Like, normally you would expect, oh well, magic's a thing, so magic is going to completely revolutionize certain things, and basically spread out from there because it can break laws of physics. That
See, that should be an interesting
machines
hook,
can't.
and they've made that boring.
But there's no pattern whatsoever behind the things that have been replaced by magic and things that haven't. So that it's like they've structured everything so they can have like it be recognizably the real world, except there's magic inserted where they want to do something cool with it. So nothing ends up seeming credible. And it goes along. It ticked me off. In addition to being dull and generally dim-witted as a story, it ticked me off because they did the whole, last acceptable target thing by making the bad guys blatantly the fantasy knockoff of the Catholic Church again, as if nobody has ever done that before, and they basically played up every sort of classic atheist trope by making it so, oh, well, the clergy don't actually believe anything that they preach at all. They're all actually atheist nihilists who are just basically hoodwinking everybody in the church and have been since the year dot. Like, the entire thing is just very mean-spirited and nihilistic.
Mm-hmm. Like, I've heard that story done well, but
it's not the story here, though. It's just sort of like a piece of background that colours and informs everything everyone does. Like, there's more than one religion in this world.
Yeah.
There's one which is, blatantly the Catholic Church, and there's one which is sort of like the sort of tribal pagan sort of things from like another country. Because the one sort of like pseudo semi quasi bright spot is the main character's combat partner, who's basically, he's a battle maniac type, but he's got a set of sort of weird randomly assigned cultural quirks, and they feel like weird randomly assigned cultural quirks for the sake of making him differently cultural. So it's not credible either, but it's sort of, because all of the others are so bland, it's like the only breath of fresh air. It's like the breath of fresh air smells like a fart, but you haven't actually had any air in so long. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, so he's got these weird quirks, and he's a battle maniac. He has no sense of controlling money whatsoever. So every time he sees something that he thinks will help his combat prowess, he'll end up, spending all of their funds on it. But they never do anything interesting with that concept either. Like the fancy high spec stuff that he buys never ends up saving the day or anything. So it just ends up being a one note joke. And his main central quirk, which is transparently a quirk for quirk's sake, is that he's like, once a long time ago, Tycho did a gag in Penny Arcade about there being a group of people called Fernies, which are like furries except for furniture.
Oh, you vaguely remember that? That's a long time ago, though.
It's a very, very, very old joke, and he hasn't revisited it in a very, very long time. But this character is sort of like that. Like, his hobby is to buy furniture and care for furniture and just fill his house with it. And he's basically has a sort of like a pseudo mystical relationship to chairs and wardrobes and stuff, where he thinks that they are basically, he treats them like someone would their pedigree pets or whatever.
That's just weird.
Like, it is very, very weird, and feels like it was chosen to simply be as lol random as possible. But yeah, basically there's nothing to commend this show. Like, normally I've got a lot of patience. I've got a lot of patience with anime. A lot.
Yeah, too much probably.
All the way through.
Yeah, see, that's why.
But this show, like, I'm totally uninterested in it. Like, I invested myself in like 3 or 4, maybe I think 4 episodes or so of it, and I just can't be bothered anymore.
What's its source? Is it a light novel or a manga?
I don't know where it's originally from. I'll have a quick look and see if there's a thing in the description which will say quickly. Yes, it's based on a series of light novels, which,
right,
would be my most likely guess.
Yeah,
because it's bad.
It's somebody's fan fiction or self-insert or whatever.
So, yeah, it's basically there are two bounty hunters, and they hunt dragons, and they get involved in intrigue. And the show would have been infinitely better if it was just a comedy, because the intrigue is just not convincing at all. But yeah, the thing is clearly written by a guy who is totally nihilistic, because it's injected in a brazen way throughout. Like, when I say that they're doing the shtick with, oh well, the prelates of the church don't actually believe any of the church's doctrine at all, they're just in it for the power. Like, they don't show that. They tell you. They have like the Pope equivalent. Well, he's not the Pope. He's a cardinal, like one of 2 really ranking leading cardinals in this church. And you can tell that they're a rip-off of the Catholic Church, because the Catholic Church is the only church which uses the cardinal position. He just turns around and he tells the main character that he doesn't believe in God. like,
Oh.
just to, you know, hammer the point home.
Right, that sounds completely
You know, the sort of-
arbitrary.
You know, the sort of thing that a cardinal with who is like an important political player would never ever tell a random hired bodyguard.
Yeah. Like, ever.
Like that's like 110% blackmail material. So
Mhm.
they're like everything about the story doesn't make sense. It's all sloppily put together. The stories, such as they are not remotely compelling. The characters are not compelling. The only novel thing is that there's a guy with a fetish for furniture. So do not watch it. It's garbage.
Yeah.
And it's not even like exceptional jaw-dropping garbage like Handshakers. It's just bland.
Yeah.
That is the worst thing ever when that happens.
I feel even more disappointed. Like, when you mentioned you watched a weird anime, I was thinking something along Daimodala's lines. Like, extremely weird.
No, but it's sort of like weird how they've managed to hit every single note of being terrible without ever being interestingly terrible.
Mm-hmm. Incidentally,
Just
why are you
like-
still watching Black Clover?
As I said, I've got Stockholm syndrome for it. Like it is over a great length of time, it is sort of gradually distinguishing itself from Naruto. In
Okay.
very, very subtle ways. It's still worse than Naruto from a writing perspective, which is pretty grim.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of differences. They're not necessarily good differences.
Asta is
um,
infinitely
like-
more annoying than Naruto, for example.
Yeah, Asta's more annoying than Naruto. He's also more of a chick magnet than Naruto is, if you leave out the movies, because the movies seem to feel an obligation to have a Bond girl in each, or at least the pubescent equivalent.
Yeah, I never managed to figure that one out.
But yeah, the main difference is that Asta, while Asta takes the same sort of true grit approach of just being too tough to be brought down that you know, the likes of Luffy and Naruto do, the fact is that it very rarely, if ever, works for Asta. And he has to get bailed out every time, which I think is sort of like at least a little bit novel. Like, he's not overpowered. That's the big thing. He doesn't. While he is special compared to other people because he's got the weird 5-leaf clover grimoire, and he has no magical powers whatsoever, and he's just basically, you know, what they call the Charles Atlas superpower. He's the only one of very few magic knights who has thoroughly trained himself physically, because he has absolutely no magic power whatsoever. Other than that, he doesn't have much going for him. He doesn't have like some demon imprisoned in him that makes him superpowered. He doesn't have like infinity resilience like Luffy does. He's just this guy with a sword, and he can only go as far as a guy with a sword can.
Extremely.
Sort of,
That's pretty far in the world of anime.
It is.
yeah, but when everybody else can like create swords and throw fireballs and stuff,
Yeah.
and he's the only one who has to draw a sword in the conventional fashion and then bring it into contact with a person's face, and nobody else needs to bother with those steps. Like, he's at a distinct disadvantage. So as far as shonen protagonists go, he's sort of starting pretty behind the 8 ball. He's basically like the Naruto level version of Toma Kamisho from Magical Index. Like, he's an anti-magic person whose big problem is that he somehow needs to touch them. So it's not entirely without charm. It's just mostly without charm.
Yeah. It would be a lot better without all the screaming.
Yeah. It's got a bigger stable of regulars though, well, than Naruto does, in the sense that most of they do the same jokes over and over and over, with at least the other members of the Black Bulls get some limelight each time, and they sort of like very, very gradually develop, except for that one guy with the makeup who nobody ever notices. He doesn't develop at all. But
There's one of those in Naruto as well, come to think of it.
yeah.
Yeah.
They sort of came up with that joke a bit more as time went on, rather than. But But yeah, do I watch anything else? The more I watch of Caligula, the more it turns into a Shin Megami Tensei game, or more specifically a Persona.
Huh.
There's a story. I think it's a game, but it's a story. They are clearly cribbing from that hymn book when it comes to how to present the general vibe and atmosphere. It's more far-fetched than a Persona game, but it's not unreasonably far-fetched for what you might see from Shin Megami Tensei.
Okay, so everything's going to hell quite literally. Type soil.
Not yet, because you only ever find out about that towards the end of a Persona game, don't you?
Usually, yeah.
Yeah, so it's sort of part way between the darker Shin Megami Tensei and the lighter Shin, in that, you know, you find out the world is not what you think it is, and everything is falling apart, and you've got people after you, but you're in imminent danger of death 24/7. So yeah, it's part way between. But let's see, what else did I? Is there anything else that I watched that I think? The new season of Full Metal Panic is still great. It's still completely inaccessible to anybody who's not a fan, but it's continues to be executed well. This current season is going exactly the way I thought it would, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because it was where the story needed to go, which is basically this is the chapter of the story, so to speak, where the light-hearted stuff falls away because actually the stakes are really, really high, and most of the light-hearted stuff is just trying to forget about that.
Yep.
So it gets really dark, really sharply, but in a predictable and expected way, because it needed to. Because ultimately the story is about soldiers, it's about mercenaries. So
yeah. It looks great, but I want to watch it, but I suppose the work required to catch up is pretty immense.
Well, the old stuff is good. I think Fumofo is good as well, but it's skippable because it's just side stories.
Right.
It's basically the first season of Full Metal Panic was basically a mixture of sort of like comedy stories, and then you would have an arc where things got serious, and then you'd have a few school comedy stories, and then an arc where things got serious like that.
Okay.
Fumofo is basically a series of sort of mostly half-episode length vignettes of stupid things that Sagura does at school.
It's a straight-up comedy.
It's straight-up comedy. They're designed to basically be inserted in any of those quiet periods that take place during the first season.
Mm-hmm.
Although it is the part of the story where you are most introduced to my favourite character in the entire franchise, which is the guy who is the student council president during their first year.
Oh dear.
Of the story, because he is I don't know how to describe him. He's just super cool. He's like he's incredibly suave and has no problem abusing his power in very subtle ways that make you think that he's actually not abusing his power. But
he's basically Sakamoto by the sound of it.
He's a cool guy, and you want to be him. So yes, he's Sakamoto.
I'd love to see an episode of that.
Yeah, it's a great show. It's got a lot of emotional weight to it. Like the story is just great. Like the characters are all quite lovable in their own ways. Even like the guys who are like the Teresa's third in command, Mardukas, who's basically like the I think he's the executive officer of the Tuatha De Danann, and he's basically a hard ass sort of sergeant major type, except higher ranking than them, because there's a sergeant. But even he's like, well, he's being stiff and disciplined all the time, but he makes you think that he's incredibly cool for being stiff and disciplined. The characters are just great. They continue to be great. The season is just reminding me of why I loved that show so much. You know, a decade ago when it was relevant, well over a decade ago now. Yeah. Is there anything else anime wise I want to talk about? Not really. It doesn't really feel like a great season to me. For the most part, like there are a couple of standouts, and everything else there's a large amount of Drek and large amount of weird stuff. And I'm still not watching Megalobox because I just don't care about boxing. But everybody says it's the best thing ever.
I've seen a lot of that, and I just cannot bring myself to care. It's like, yay, it's boxing, yay, boxing with robot arms.
Apparently, it's just got great animation and great writing, but I'm just not drawn to it. I prefer, trashier, pulpier stuff, fortunately.
Yeah.
I want to see... Like, I'm the sort of person who, if I was 20 years younger, I would be totally suckered by Sword Art Online.
Yeah. I think that's happened to a lot of people, unfortunately.
I also deeply regret the fact that I can say the phrase, if I was 20 years younger.
Oh, don't remind me. Don't think about it.
If you don't think about it, it can't hurt you, right?
Yeah. Log Horizon's better.
That image meme that I like to link so much that says, I didn't choose to turn 30 and one day you'll turn 32. They remade that show this season.
Oh no.
I haven't watched that one either, but it's a classic, and apparently the revamped classic is pretty good. So I might look at that one if I've got time.
Neat.
It's called Legend of the Galactic Heroes.
Oh,
Very
yes.
old. Being remade.
I did see that.
That show is ancient.
Yeah. I can't... For my part, I've actually kind of fallen behind a little bit, but I can't bring myself to watch the next episode of Persona. Persona 5.
I probably will, but I won't do it because I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I'll do it because it's there to be watched.
Yeah, I might watch
I'll do it
episode
when I've
4.
got time.
I might watch episode 4 to close out the Kamoshida arc and then leave it at that.
Kamoshida? I did not realise how much I hated his Japanese voice until recently. it just annoys me. I want to stick his head in a trash compactor.
I think that's part of the
He did
appeal.
anything bad on screen.
Yeah.
Like, he's just horrible. He's got a horrible, horrible voice. I want to throw him off a tall building. No ironic end implied by that.
Yeah, although I would quite happily crib some irony there.
But yeah, I hate that voice. I hate it. I hate it.
It's so annoying.
But Volacel, it's in Japanese and there's an English dub. Therefore, it's sacred and you're not allowed to make fun of it.
Ugh, I hate that attitude.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm going to strangle it.
There are almost always characters. Most of the time, I'd say probably about 80% of the time, I like more than half of the characters better for their Japanese voice than their English.
Mm-hmm.
But there are occasions where there's just somebody whose voice is repulsive in Japanese, and I want it to stop.
Yeah, admittedly, Morgana falls into that category for me as well. So, I don't know, maybe it's just because I'm used to the English voice acting for him.
Yeah.
Well, I've also tested the theory that it's whichever one you see first that you like better, and that's not. There are some though that just have really good dubs for both. Like Full Metal Panic's an example of that. That the Japanese one is good, and the English one is also good. They're just both good.
Yeah, so just pick your favourite in that case.
Although the Full Metal Panic also has the dubious distinction of being the sort of the show with which I associate primarily Vic Mignogna.
Oh
dear.
Yeah. It's
His
either that
role-
or Full Metal Alchemist for people.
It's his
Yeah.
role as Curse Weaver is like that's his canonical role for me.
He really only played one
time
character.
I hear his voice anywhere else, I think of him. So
Yeah. His most recognized role to be the one from Ouran High School, and it's never going to happen.
well, nobody
Ever.
watched that show. Like, it was really popular in Japan and popular with people who who watched chiefly fan subs, but nobody bought the version.
Yeah, he keeps trying, but everybody only remembers him as Ed or the dude in Full Metal Panic.
Anyway, what else? I played some FGO because I always play some FGO.
Some is probably an understatement.
I have completed 100 out of 100 of the missions in Fate Excel Zero Order.
Mm-hmm.
Which is all but the finale one. The finale one is to take down Darius III.
Why is he even there?
Particular, because the Darius's wish on the Holy Grail was to have one more final showdown in mass combat with Alexander.
Ah, fair enough then.
But yeah, he is the final boss with 800,000 hit, and
yeah, that is a ridiculous number.
I spent the morning brainstorming how I can possibly chip away that, given my incredibly anorexic lineup, and I have sketched out a strategy which might do the trick, which uses exclusively 3-star servant to take down. But yeah, I don't know if it'll work. It requires more luck than I'd like. On paper, it will work. It may just be a matter of, trying it again and again until I get it right.
Yeah. We know what your luck tends to be like.
In the meantime, I think I'll probably just grind out more of the stuff in the shop now that I've completed it. So I've managed to get all of the Ascension materials for RSVL, and I've managed to get all of the copies of RSVL, so I've got her completed as a servant, all the bits I need to level her up. Not that she's especially good, but
no, she has a giant silly crown. I don't know why.
Well, it's just that's what the dress of heaven looks like. But yeah, as a servant, she's not great, but she can fill in for not having a support. Like, if you need a caster support, you don't have Waver, you don't have Tamamo, you don't have Harp, then RSV will do the trick. And there are situations in which she's better than mainly because Hans doesn't have any way of interacting with enemy noble phantasms. So he's good for protracted fights where the noble phantasm is not an instant wipe, whereas RSVL can actually deal with that. Like, the ideal situation is that you'll set RSVL up and then you will watch the noble phantasm timer, use her noble phantasm such that it heals your party in the short term and applies the gut status, which will still be in effect when the enemy noble phantasm goes off. So it goes off after, ideally, RSVL has already gotten enough noble phantasm meter back to cast it immediately after the guts has to be used to keep you alive from getting hit by the noble phantasm. So you can using her noble. So you can use her as basically you use her as a poverty Jeanne d'Arc. So it's rough to apply her in a useful fashion, but it's possible to apply her in a useful. So it's a useful tool to have. It's not like getting Shiki, who's monstrous.
Mm-hmm.
Very effective. Likewise, Ryder Kentucky, who's coming in one of the upcoming events, the first raid event, is also a very, very effective 4-star welfare servant. But yeah, I'm glad at least that I got it, that I didn't miss out. It was hard. I had to do a lot of shenanigans. I had to plan every fight out on paper, so to speak, before attempting it, because there's no way of face checking those for me. I would just get crushed.
No.
The sheer number of hit points that I have is not high enough to survive some of those challenges. I needed to make sure that I obliterated the boss within 1 to 2 turns, because I simply couldn't survive otherwise.
Yep.
So yeah.
Though, yeah, I've at least had the advantage. I've got Jeanne Alter, and even though I haven't ascended her yet much, at least she can take some hits and do out some damage.
Yeah, well, the thing is that she's a one-size-fits-all damage cannon.
Yeah, exactly.
You can always put her in and rely on her not to be ineffective, whereas I have to carefully match everything up. So,
incidentally, I found out that a combination of Nero and Iskander is a really nasty Noble Phantasm combo.
yeah, well, anyway, so yeah, I'm gonna retire from pushing that really hard and just settle back to pull all of the useful stuff out of the shop. I've got most of the valuable items so far. It's just a matter of getting the statuettes and things. Crest worms.
So many crest worms.
I don't really want them.
My inventory is full of them, and they still keep coming.
My inventory's still full of swords from the Kara no Kyokai event.
I think I've still got a few of those.
I'm gonna have to just dump them into Holy Maiden Leading Chaldea.
Yeah.
Which is my biggest hole for pouring that stuff into, since it's got a level cap of 100. So, but yeah. What else? After we discussed Diablo 3 last week, it came up at half price from Mighty Ape, which is a local retailer for video games in New Zealand. Came up for half price, so I decided to pick it up. I haven't had time to play it until just now. It just finished installing before the show, so I'm basically running around town because, you know, when we're doing the weeks, I have a great deal of difficulty focusing on playing the game at the same time as talking. But
that's why I'm running around in Grim Dawn with a one-button build.
Yeah, but Deckard Cain is currently talking about the prophecy of End of Days, which I think is what he talks about all the time.
To be fair, if he started that talk, you're probably going to be there all week, so it's fine.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing that. I thought that it would look a little bit better than it does.
Yeah,
it's a pretty old game by now, dog. It's been out.
I know, but that's the
thing.
That's the thing. It's the passage of time that's getting away from me.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely terrified to go back and look at what Warcraft 3 looks like now.
Oh, don't do that. Do not do that. It ain't pretty.
Bad ideas, and that is one of them.
Did the Diablo 3 did that come out before or after StarCraft 2? I don't even remember.
It was around
before, I believe.
Sometime in that ballpark.
I played StarCraft 2 again, actually, briefly the other day, and it still looks alright.
Yeah, so that's the thing I was thinking, like, this doesn't even quite look as good as StarCraft 2. I wonder why that is. Like,
yeah.
I can't remember the timeline anymore when these things came out. So, yeah, I'm a little bit mildly troubled by all of this.
Oh dear.
Yeah, looking forward to having a bit of a play around there.
Yep, I'll have to pull it down and have a poke around, see what they've done to the PC version, and if they've left it terrible or if they've actually fixed it.
Yeah, it feels very workable on the PlayStation. Like, it's not nearly as clunky as what the description sounds. I've not really had much fondness for this particular format in the past, except for maybe Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance is probably the last time I really played a game like this.
Wow, now that's an old game.
Yeah,
good times with that game. Good
I
times.
actually managed to get my mother to try and play some of that, and that was, let's face it, actually quite hilarious. But
You what?
yeah, I don't know. She just got right into the setting, but I felt like I got a kick in the face on that game because of, yeah, you finished the game. Now here's a new difficulty. Also, here's Drist, who is overpowered as all get out.
Yeah.
Drist. I'm disgusted. Just isn't cool at all.
Just is not cool.
Yeah, I don't think there's much else for me to talk about. I don't think I've really done a great deal else. Not really. I've been busy. Work's been
Alrighty.
running very late, very repeatedly, so I don't have much else.
Tell me about it. Alright. Lots of subtle foreshadowing about what's coming in my week. By subtle, I mean like a sledgehammer. When we get to it. Let's
That's
go.
how VTW has classically done subtle
Yes,
foreshadowing. Is to tell you exactly what's happening.
and call it subtle.
Pretty much.
It's subtle. Shh.
We make fun of people that are subtle. Okay, so we are an hour into the show. We should probably go to a break right now. And yeah, we're gonna do that. Well, I slapped myself to wake up. And we're back.
Yeah.
So, this is your daily reminder to not kill the people outside your door that annoy you when you're trying to get stuff done. You will not keep your job if you do that.
It is hard to resist, I have to admit.
Yes.
Alright. So, did you have anything else, Phil?
No, I don't actually have anything else much to talk about this time. I do hope that changes in the future, but I don't hold out a huge amount of hope for it. It's a product of the work schedule, which is at present not likely to change in any big way.
Yeah, this is how we adults.
It's always more important to hire bureaucrats than people who do work.
I know, right? Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, Ari, your week, sir.
Alright, so, my week was a whole lot of playing a game I already beat a long time ago, like when it came out. Because I did not have time for anything, and I needed something that required no attention whatsoever. So, like I mentioned last week, I got Shin Megami Tensei 4 Apocalypse for realsies this time. And I actually own the 3DS I'm playing it on, which is nice, as it turns out. I actually own the product you're playing.
Yes.
So,
don't pirate, kids.
By
the way.
Yeah, don't pirate stuff, kids.
Also,
That's
don't
weird.
rent. It's really a headache.
Wait, what? Wait,
I have
there are
never
people who
had...
still rent things?
Yeah. I actually saw a Blockbuster video or something, a Video Easy or something a few months ago.
what?
Blockbuster's out
There's
of
no
business
such thing
here.
as Blockbuster.
Yeah, so that must have been Video Easy. There's one in
I'm
Townsville.
surprised there's still such a thing as Video Easy.
Well,
I think the only video stores that are still around in New Zealand are pretty much independent ones.
this was back just before Christmas in Townsville. The video... yeah, okay, they were still ostensibly a video store, but where they really were making money was Magic the Gathering cards and tournaments.
Ah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I think most of those places are looking for a new angle.
Yeah.
There's not really a lot of money in the whole video rental game. Although, I think that generally speaking, it seems to me like the ones, the sort of the little independent ones, like while there's no room for big chains anymore, the little independent ones still seem to be doing reasonably good business. I think basically because they can corner the market.
Yeah.
They aren't trying to support a franchise as such. They're just,
Yeah, like we had a small video shop in this town a while ago because, well, everybody here is a Luddite, so yeah, they don't understand streaming, so yeah, there's definitely room in the market for a video store. But you don't get that so much in the cities. And you certainly can't spread it across the country. Anyway, we're getting off topic. Shin Megami Tensei.
Where was I even going with this? All right, so I decided I wanted to 100% this game because I liked all the gameplay changes, different from I was just really impressed with what they did to fix all the scrappy mechanics from the last game. Like, you don't understand unless you played the last game just how stupid some of these changes were.
Yeah.
Like, being able to open this game up, remember the old map screen, and actually see where I'm going, you don't understand, man.
Hearing about this stuff...
You sound like a person who's talking about being a knob.
Yeah. You don't even know, man.
I don't even know. But, yeah. So, unfortunately, I forgot what series this was for a little bit when I decided to do that. And, that means it's SMT time where they have the aforementioned fan nicknamed SMT bullcrap you have to put up with to 100% these games. This time, it includes, the usual. One of the usual is 100% of the compendium. Okay, I went into that expecting that. I forgot this is a mainline game for a little bit. In the mainline games, some demons are exclusive to fusion accidents.
You're at the mercy of the RNG.
And for some demons, I mean 3 entire races, the entirety of them, barring a few special fusions.
Ugh.
So, there's about 15 of those I had to go get. So, for the last 3 days, There's thankfully a way to at least increase the odds of the trigger happening. You still can't control the level range at all. You get something completely random from +1 to -8 levels of whatever target you were trying to fuse with the 2 demons you threw in there. But at least you can up the trigger rate to 10% every time you fuse something by permanently making it so that all of your party members are are sick, new debuff, which acts as a permanent ×2 debilitate. Well, so you lower your stats and you go park yourself in a corner somewhere and you save your game and you start reloading until the trigger happens and you get what you want. You can help the case by filling out the rest of your stock very expensively, I might add, with everything in that level range. So there's only about 25 to 35 choices for the RNG to pick from, but because there's like over 450 demons in this game.
That's a lot of demons.
But yeah, it is a lot of demons.
That's quite the roster.
Yeah, they definitely went for broke with this one. But yeah, that is pretty much what I was doing. It required no effort whatsoever, and was exactly what I needed to do, because I needed to put a lot of focus on work this week. I did get them all.
Nice.
I managed to, by the end of the week, if they finally rolled over and I got them all.
Now you did.
So,
you did mention, however, the Infinity Dungeon, by what's out of it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So, the reason I started doing that is because I needed a break from trying to 100% the final dungeon. Actually trying to do that place legitimately is one of the biggest nightmares I've had in video games.
Yes. I've looked at this map and it's stupid.
I've linked Fern the map. I think I linked it to Volb.
Oh, that's what that was. You didn't tell me what it was. You just linked me a picture, and I was like, what?
I was busy being traumatized by the map. So, this place is... Okay, so the guy appropriating the Tetragrammatron is hanging out in a place that is 5 whole dungeons worth of floors that are all a teleporter puzzle. Identical everywhere.
Teleporter puzzles are never a good idea. Stop it.
I would be okay with it if they actually used a different background for anything in that dungeon. They did not do that. That is a thing they did not do.
So it's a teleporter puzzle in a dungeon where everywhere looks exactly the same.
Yeah, it's all just generic outer space because that's all the 3DS could render is a static JPEG. So yeah, you get there and you're like, well, rat baskets. Where do I go? And there's huge. Each little dot. I'll post this in the. Still have the map on my other tab because it, no joke, takes me a whole day to get through one floor of this place. Whoever decided that when the players said the first game's dungeons were stupid easy, there was no point in them actually existing. They were so short.
Yeah, challenge accepted.
He's like,
you don't want to tempt fate like that.
No,
like
You really don't.
Yeah, no.
You're asking for trouble.
Yeah, so
It's like, oh, you think you're the big man, huh? Huh?
cop this.
you think you know what you want, but you really don't.
That line.
You think you do, but you don't.
Yes. So yeah, I have been slowly chewing through that ever since finishing the compendium, but I had to cave and get a map, and I'm the most anti-guide person I know. It got to a point where I was just like, I don't even care anymore.
You could do that, or you could still be there this time next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I could do all that, or I could just play the game and get out of here. And keep, doing what I was doing, which was playing the game. So, eventually we got to the part of the game that was actually playing the game again with some help from the map. And now it only takes me about half a day to navigate the thing, because I don't have to spend, forever going back and going, did I really fully explore that area over there? Because on top of everything, the little things there just to extend the process even more. Like, there are stat doors that you'll be just barely out of reach of, and you just need to farm a little bit to get through.
Oh boy.
It's that kind of nightmare. So, yeah. Dude who came up with that dungeon, you are not a nice person. I hope you have a wonderful life, but do not do that again.
People should have been less smug about how skilled they felt they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy, that was.
This is what you get for your hubris.
Well, everybody knew it was bad. Everybody knew it needed fixing. Maybe we were just a little too zealous, and that's why they did this to us. That or they just hadn't made us cry in a while. That's also a possibility. It is Atlas in an SMT game.
Yeah.
Like, we really haven't put Matador in for a while.
He's actually the breather boss this time in the Fiends in their post game.
Oh dear.
He's the easy one.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Well,
Is that
it's one thing to call him the breather boss? It's quite another to realise that what that actually means is that people just hyperventilate when they see him.
Yeah. Is he? When you say he's the easy one, is he just easy by comparison, or has he been nerfed?
No, he hasn't been nerfed. He's actually gotten a lot stronger. He now has a 14 medium hit normal physical attack that can pierce.
Oh dear.
Yeah, you got to find a way to deal with that before you fight him.
Right. So yeah, now he actually uses his rapier. Right, joy.
Yeah, he stabs you now. He stabs you dead.
He stabs you dead.
I won't be stabbed. That sounds really unpleasant.
It does not sound fun, no.
Yeah, he still has the add all of the Sukukachas forever and ever on top of him. But he's the second Fiend after David, I think. I forget what David does. I poked my head in there and noped out real quick as soon as I bumped into him. just to get it open on the map. I'm like, yep, nope, we'll come back to that later.
Oh dear.
So yeah. Whew. Lots of stuff to do in the post game.
Yep.
And unfortunately, there's a few gaps with the design of this game. Despite everything it did to make itself, not terrible. Because, no. Don't play SMT 4 Classic. I don't care what the Reddit says, they're wrong. Sane people don't like it.
Because it was terrible and designed by a masochist?
What is the argument in favour of it? Why do they think people should like it? What are they...
That it is dark and edgy like SMT should be, according to them.
Really?
That is their whole argument.
That's all they've got.
There's a much more optimistic ending and focused route in Apocalypse because it's a continuation. You've already seen the Law and Chaos route. We don't need to do that again. Why would you buy the game again if you're just going to see the same routes again? So they opted instead to go for a more traditional story for the expansion/sequel, because it's set in the smack dab in the middle of the neutral ending from the first game.
Okay.
So makes sense to me. So for those of you that have not played the first game, I'll spoil it for you because it's not worth playing and it doesn't tell you much anyway. The ICBM attack still happened, but in this universe, some dude cut his head off, summoned Masakado, he turned into a big rock, and Tokyo got stuck under a big rock. 25 years past it
makes any sense to me.
For SMT, yep. That's fairly straightforward.
Passed inside the rock, 14,000 passed outside the rock. So people from the outside come in and they're like, look at all these people with technology when we're in the Stone Age again. And that's the game. That's it. Go beat up your contractually obligated alignment representatives. That's as deep as it went.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
They do have a tendency to do the same story over and over.
Yeah.
And this one, at least in Apocalypse, you get, real characters. They take the butt monkey from the last game, kill him off, give you his ghost, and actually fix his character.
So all he had to do to become good was die.
Yeah, they just had to kill him.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
His death is cheap.
I guess.
It is. And the SMT-verse... Yeah, it is now.
But
yeah,
this doesn't have any sort of this isn't going to cause a problem though, is it? Like a scenario where death doesn't actually seem like it removes a person from the plot.
Only if that character sucks initially, I think.
Only as far as difficulty in gameplay is concerned, but it's more of an anti-frustration feature because for a while now, we've been able to resurrect pretty dang close to where we died. But at this point, Dagda's just like, I'm king of the throughout the day. You're not dead yet. Go beat up people for me. And it'll just pull you back to life whenever you lose, and you pop right back outside the boss door. So there's absolutely no penalty to dying anymore. They've just given up.
Right.
You can save anywhere now. There's no point to doing that, which are changes I'm fine with. But yeah, they've taken an approach to this game to make it more like a hybrid between what old Shin Megami Tensei was, like Nocturne and the Strange Journey game that I still haven't played, and the more accepted by the mainstream Persona games. They actually give you a party of characters that talk and have character this time. You're not just followed around by your contractually obligated alignment reps.
Yeah. Or instead of being the Demi-Fiend and just walking around staring at people.
Yeah.
Well, the Demi-Fiend was also dealing with alignment.
Yeah.
It's just that they didn't... The alignment reps weren't very good in them.
No, they weren't.
Yeah,
they didn't communicate why they believe anything any of the stuff that they believe. They just, arbitrarily selected a faction and jumped on board.
Pretty much, yeah.
Because I wanted to. They'll tell you their reason. I believe in isolation because you ran off to go save yourself in the world or something. I forget what Musabi's reason was.
Yeah, Lucifer's call was I believe in X, and that was it. They just stopped.
Yeah, Baal Avatar was like, I believe in chaos. I'm the chaos rep this game. How are you today?
We're
gonna fight now, and I'm gonna ruin your day. K.
Yeah, that was more or less it. I was sort of incredulous when I first met the one who's like basically he's joined up with Thor's little cadre, and she's like, yeah, law of the jungle, strength is everything. Yeah, there's nothing in my past or my personality which suggests that this would be any way appealing to me, but yeah, that's what we're doing.
Never mind, it's entirely hypocritical because she had to eat another god to do it. And she didn't eat it by beating it. She got it to feel sorry for her and say, okay, you can have my power for a bit. Go try this thing.
Oh, dear.
That's literally what Chiaki does.
Yep. Whoops. I need to fix that. So, yeah.
It's one thing for it to be hypocritical, but it's not just hypocritical, it's the fact she doesn't have any reason to do it to begin with. She just does it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You show up, you're still in your right mind, you're like, hey, Jackie, how you doing? I just ate some dude, and I have a cool new arm because my other one fell off. Let's go beat up the mannequins. That's exactly how it goes.
Yeah.
I love Nocturne to death. For the time it came out, it was an absolutely wonderful game, and it's still fun to play, but it has some bits of that story have not aged well.
Some bits of those stories are just pants on head stupid.
Anything not related to the world itself just hasn't aged real good.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate, but, it's in recent SMT games, they have been trying to dress it up. They're trying to put lipstick on the old alignments, at least. In Devil Survivor 2, they call it, egalitarianism and meritocracy, I think, but they don't quite get the definitions right, but they try, which is important. and
I don't know, I'm the part of the sort of meritocracy creed is that trying is not worth anything.
Well, yes, but but yes, but yeah, there's the neutral route in that game, which is I forget what they called that, but they have a name for all the routes now and all the alignment splits, and they're doing more of them and not having them all be instant game overs with cheap wonky mechanics tied to them, which is cool. That's where I think the series should be going. It's the next logical step. What is not the next logical step is remaining Nocturne forever.
But the thing is that that's what you'll get, though, right? If you ask people who think they do but they don't, you'll get to hear a lot of, yes, we want this game to stay the same forever and never change because that way we continue to be snobby.
Yeah, there's too many of those communities as it is.
Yeah, and the SMT community has some real standout douche canoes in it, and thankfully, Atlas doesn't give a crap. Apocalypse sold like hotcakes. People love it way more than they did the base game.
Well, there's not really a lot to love in the base game.
No.
Yeah. You play that game, and even hardcore fans are like, "Nope, we're done. We're out. Peace."
this is bad. We're going.
Yep. So the series needed to evolve, and even though they're having a few missteps here and there with the stories, I'm glad they're trying. It is a good thing to see them making progress in that direction. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing. Of the game, some of their attempts at making it better are okay. Gaston's cool. Every time I see him, though, I think of the song from Beauty and the Beast, and so does everybody else.
Yeah.
He's Gaston, and he's the worst partner, but he's the best character.
That's kind of unavoidable when that happens. Don't call your characters Gaston.
Well, no, it's just it's really weird because he has the most complete arc of all the characters, and he's a really fun character to play the story of, but he's absolutely unplayable in the game. Like, you do not use him ever because he eats your press turns when he assists you, and he's the only party member that does.
Oh,
no one's neck's as incredibly thick as Gaston.
Yeah, no one steals your press turns like Gaston at all.
I don't think that was in the song.
No,
yeah, I don't remember that verse.
Yeah, he can get out. He can stay in the party. That's okay. We have Hallelujah, who all the SMT hardcores hate so much because he's a big catalyst for the fix scene of the game. And Hallelujah is a bro. Finally, there's a dude in fiction who's just like, yeah, that's whatever, dude. Can you still think for yourself? And we're good to go. Whenever something stupid happens, so that pointless drama doesn't pop up.
I really am starting to get really impatient with that sort of pointless drama as a way of moving the plot along. Like somebody who just sort of spits the dummy and starts to go hysterical for no good reason.
Yeah, there's a name for that. I call it work.
Yeah, it's a nuisance. And the only thing worse than that is when the plot is moved along by people's refusal to talk to people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, if we had just, discussed this, there would be no problem. But since we don't talk...
They lampshade both of those so hard in Apocalypse, it's not even funny.
Hope you're listening, J.K. Rowling. Half of Harry Potter would have been prevented by this.
Yeah. They straight up have a character from the last game who's Nozomi. She's one of your party members. And she's one of the few adults in the group. She's like, okay, kids, y'all did it bad. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go talk to the authorities in charge and tell them what happened. And don't worry, it'll be handled just fine because we know the whole situation. Just behave for a little bit. And they get all the information out there, and nobody wastes time with big, sudden, stupid reveals. and the story moves right along, and then everybody was happy.
And stupid was prevented.
A lot of these things is like, why didn't you say something? Like that was like one of the things that really sort of ticked me off in the third Evangelion movie, in the new set of Evangelion movies, is that most of the time, like Shinji is like in anime famous for being a basket.
Yes.
Although he's an incredibly neurotic person, but it's not entirely his fault because he gets a lot of unreasonable crap asked of him.
Yeah, not to mention, look at his father.
Yeah, and his dad is like not exactly going to win any Dad of the Year award.
And his mother is a robot. Yeah,
but in the remake or sequel, or nobody really knows.
Yeah.
The entire third movie is basically built around people giving Shinji the silent treatment because he did something really bad and he doesn't really know what it was. Like, it's really quite cruel. Like, basically what happened is that Shinji wiped out the human race accidentally, almost.
Well, that's reason to be annoyed at him, I suppose.
Well, because he had feelings for Rei and he decided to save her. So he went to save the girl, and saving the girl accidentally triggered Third Impact. He didn't know it was going to do that.
No, he did not.
He wakes up after being basically asleep inside his Evangelion for a decade or whatever. And when he wakes up, everybody hates him. He doesn't understand why. because he triggered Third Impact, and they're treating him like, oh, you're a horrible person. You triggered Third Impact, and then you ran away and hid in your Ava for a decade. It's like, well, he didn't even know a decade had passed. He didn't know he was asleep inside that thing. and he didn't know he was going to cause third impact by saving the girl he likes. So it really seems deeply, deeply unfair. And he ends up on the opposing side of the conflict because supposedly his side of the conflict won't even talk to him about what happened.
Butthurt, the movie. Yeah. So the entire plot of that movie is just people being dumb and not actually talking to each other.
Yeah, pretty much. It's got all the usual weird Evangelion drama in it, but the reason that things happen is because people don't give Shinji a fair go, to put it bluntly. Like, they just assume that everything he did was out of malice and cowardice, you know, when he put his life on the line to save the girl he liked and managed to do so. Or at least he thought he did, but it turns out that he didn't because, you know, Rays are not normal people. Basically, the entire movie is catalyzed by the fact that nobody will really talk to anybody else. So he goes through the early part of the movie not knowing why everybody hates him, why everybody's mad, except that everybody's abusing him. Nobody will give him a straight answer on anything, but they still expect him to basically be on their side. And, you know, the opponents are like, well, we're not going to do that. And so he shacks up with them.
Can you blame the guy?
Does Kaoru even get around to telling him eventually what happened? Or does he just shout outside and be like, that happened?
Well, Kaoru screws him up even more, although it's sort of, Kaoru's weird, so...
Yeah, and this is why the Evangelion verse gives me a headache.
Yeah, but
it's an Andrew.
The entire conflict could have been avoided simply by a combination of talking to Shinji and understanding that maybe he isn't actually the Antichrist.
Yes.
Which would, you know, go hand in hand with the fact that you guys all know Shinji and he's a miserable little coward who's never had a chance to develop any sort of courage, and so expecting courageous behaviour out of him is unreasonable. Like,
he spends a lot of time running away and crying. Seriously.
Yeah, because he's forced to suffer all the time.
Yes.
And this is what always comes to mind when I think about the trope. And nobody ever talks to anybody else. The world goes to hell in a handbasket, and nobody seems to realise that if they just hadn't been, you know, such stuck-up douches to each other, this entire plot line wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, some writer at Atlas had a thing similar to yours for this, because he made it his mission for this game to lampshade how stupid that is around every single turn. So, like, when the secret comes out, gasp! When this main character gives his life to save his girlfriend and accidentally triggers the potential into the world, they're like, dude, nobody cares. Can you still think for yourself? Go beat up this thing. Okay, you beat it up, good to go. Hey. The guy that's been keeping your group together by telling everybody it's all cool, he has a big secret, and everybody's like, dude, nobody cares. as soon as the reveal happens, it gets deflated right away. It's just like, nobody cares. You should have told us sooner. We could have used that, you idiot. So, I do find it enjoyable going through the game, seeing all that again. They're really fun characters. Some of them are really bad, but most of them are really good. Looking at the Lolly character specifically, she is not a good character.
The obligatory Lolly character.
Yeah, the obligatory assassin Lolly character is terrible, but all the other ones are really good.
Yep. Okay.
So yeah, that is Shin Megami Tensei's.
Yes, indeed.
And yes, I do recommend people go play through Apocalypse if you have not, and you're a fan of the newer spin-off SMT games like Persona.
One thing I probably should ask, actually, do you need to play the original SMT4 before you play Apocalypse?
Not really. Not a whole lot happened in SMT4. Apocalypse.
Terrible happened.
Samurais go in hole. Hole has not progressed through time, but the samurai have. Top of the hole is law, inside the hole is chaos. Find the middle path. That's it. No more complicated than freaking, Nocturne's alignments. Like, there ain't a whole lot of thought here.
We are this faction. We want shrug.
Yeah, you are playing that game for the gameplay.
Yeah.
That is why people bought that game. if you really want to know about the universe, there are some cool things here, and there are a lot of things I really like about the universe they've set up in this thing. But it's just not relevant to the actual game you're playing. And you can read it all in a big giant logbook they give you at the start of Shin Megami Tensei 4 that's in the game. That you can even download explanations for how the multiverse works as free DLC.
Huh, nice.
Yes, which was very nice, actually. I was quite happy to have that. Yeah. I would recommend checking this one out. I will play through it until I beat the DLC and the post-game dungeon. Unfortunately, I can't go beat up the guy that's pretending to be a gramophone in his dimension right now, because once you beat the last boss, it throws you a new game plus right away, and I'm not doing a Shin Megami Tensei game's post-game content, even if this one is significantly easier than the other ones have been.
No, it still involves chewing off your own leg.
I'm already fusing the whole time we're in the show, trying to make monsters that have enough resistances not to get owned by the DLC.
And hoping for or hoping not to get a fusion accident.
Already did the fusion accidents. Don't need any more of those. Oh, that's right. I haven't saved in a while. Holy crap.
Yeah, you should do that.
Lose all that progress before I can get back to the compendium. That would be bad. Okay. And that's pretty much been my week. There's nothing really to talk about with work. It's not very interesting. Real life's been kind of held up. I was cooked by the sun, so I was stuck inside all day. Had to mow the lawn last week, but I talked a bit about that then. So yeah. Just fusing demons.
Alright. We should talk about some news then, shall we?
Some news.
Some news.
What do we have?
Not a whole lot. This is the pre-E3 doldrums again. Like, we're only we're actually about a month away now that I think of it. So we got to figure out.
Is anybody going to be at E3 though?
At this rate,
is everybody
no.
doing their own thing now?
No, well, Ubi's out, EA's out, Nintendo's out.
It's going to be like the Sony and Microsoft shill show, is it?
I think so. Although, if Devolver gets up and repeats their performance from last year, I wouldn't say no. If you haven't seen that, by the way, just go onto YouTube and search for the Devolver Digital E3 presser last year. It is incredible. It involves exploding heads.
Just don't remember.
Woman foaming at the mouth. Today's bad business practices today.
Just don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Devolver Digital, like I tend to sort of write them off as like that thing that Microsoft tries to do to pretend like they're friendly to indies.
Yeah. There's a bit of that, I suppose. They make good games. They gave us Sense of the Gungeon. I think that was Devolver.
That. Yeah, I'm not saying that they do bad things. I'm just saying that they seem to get trotted out by Microsoft relatively often as proof that they actually do care about the indies. They do, for reals, guys.
Honest. So yeah, I don't know what we can expect from E3 this year, but it's probably going to be disappointing. I mean, more so than usual.
It's gonna be something, alright.
It's going to be a thing. A terrible, terrible thing.
It's gonna be a thing where people go, maybe we should reinvest in something else instead of this E3 thing, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, I'm surprised that it's carried on the way it has. I don't know what is normally happening on the show floor when there isn't a press conference taking place, but it seems like so much of it has been abstracted out to, local hotel conference rooms that sort of a bit strange that the main event even happened. But,
or in the case of EA, random arbitrary rooftops.
I wish they would stop trying to, be cool and different and just, make games that don't try and explain.
Well, currently they've got, let's be, rad and cool and, other 90s words, or the literal evil empire. That's EA.
Well, occasionally somebody says tubular like anybody ever said that.
I heard
unironically.
that once outside of my state and never heard it again.
The only place I've heard that was in the Ninja Turtles cartoons.
But they were. I think that even when those were current, they were still a parody.
They were always a bit tongue-in-cheek. So, I'm expecting cringe. Lots and lots of cringe. Anyway, we have an announcement of announcement for our news. We have an announcement that Suda51 is going to get up and announce something at MomoCon at the end of the month.
Yep.
Now, Suda51 should be currently working on the new No More Heroes game, so I don't know what he's doing. He's probably run out of gin.
He should make a game with Yoko Taro.
Good grief, no!
I think they do talk on occasion. It could be a thing that happens in the future.
I'm not sure what that communication would involve, but I don't think you can call it talking.
If Yoko, bad as he sounds like he is, whenever you read him and see Kodaka talk about him in interviews, the guy is a nightmare to be around because he's absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
They keep him around because he's funny to laugh at. And he knows it, and he's totally okay with it.
Yeah. So, that's pretty much all we know, is at this point it's an announcement of an announcement that Suda51 is going to be announcing a thing.
That's also something that sort of annoys me. Why do people keep making announcements that they're going to make an announcement?
I thought the only place that really flew was the WWE. They spend most of their time standing around announcing things in that. You know, instead of wrestling.
Brother.
Gotta drum up that hype.
Yeah.
And by drum up, I mean do nothing. Stand around for a while.
Stand around and yell at each other for a while.
Say people should be excited, and then don't give them a reason to be.
Yeah.
Pretty soon, you're gonna be excited.
But the wrestling...
Tomorrow!
Yeah, wrestling gets a pass on it because it's deliberately ridiculous. So yeah, that's a thing. So I have no idea what to expect. It's maybe a release date for the new No More Heroes game.
Maybe, or maybe he'll just go up there and do something weird.
It's possibly both.
I don't know. Like, I don't really look forward to his announcements because his stuff is so hit and miss. Like, occasionally it's something which is really, you know, groundbreaking in a weird sense, like No More Heroes was. Bizarre way, but a lot of the time it's just like, this is just sort of weird and it's trying to be edgy and it's just a little bit cringy.
Yeah. No, but No More Heroes was great. No More Heroes 2 was a weird one because you could never actually find anywhere you could buy it here. So, kind of disappointed by that.
It was on the Wii, so I didn't play it.
Yeah, it was one of the good reasons to have the Wii. And yeah, they were deliberate with their waggle controls on that game. I'll just say deliberate and leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, my like I've mentioned before, my flatmate cosplayed Travis Touchdown. He made a lightsaber that it would light up for the duration of time that a duration of time proportional to how much you shook it.
All of this is deeply disturbing.
Yes it is. So yeah. So that's a thing.
Yeah.
All we need is Swery to show up now when we've completed the set. Incidentally, what is Swery working on these days?
They should all make a game together.
Good grief, no.
Do you remember the last time a group of these bozos got together and played D&D together and made an anime?
Oh, that was awful.
I've possibly scoured that from my mind.
Yeah, like, that is all the same social group. That group of weirdos.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Who are... Oh, we love your writing. Please keep writing stuff. Make more stories.
It is delightfully weird.
I don't think that I want, like, Yoko Taro to employ the Ura Butcher to help him.
Wow.
write a game. His games are horrible enough to begin with, story-wise.
That idea just brings nightmares.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do not
gory,
know what their
extremely
particular
strange
is like.
nightmares. So, oh boy. Next little newslet. We've got newslets this week. We don't actually have news. The BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle beta has been announced, and it starts next week.
I want to play it.
I want to play it.
Beat me already and was like, hey, you want to play this video game that's going to come out that you were talking about getting? It's up early. I'd be like, I would love to, but I'm busy.
Yeah.
Doesn't he have to adult?
I don't know.
I don't know. He does. He works on like a call center, and so he has like a consistent time.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
got a
He's
shot
not. He doesn't have a shuffled schedule like you do, or me trying to take on more responsibility than I can handle for reasons because work. It makes sense if you know the full story.
Yep. Alright. So, I believe... Yes. So, it starts May 9th, runs through till May 14th, so it's just a standard beta weekend doovie. And once the beta ends, there will be an offline demo released.
I will. Oh, that's good. I do like that.
That is, I like that.
That is good things.
Yep. Incidentally, this is
Good
the
argument.
PS4 beta. There's going to be a Switch beta at a later date.
Yes.
Yep.
Very good.
And surprisingly, 20 characters are going to be playable.
That it's a sizable number of dudes. Yes.
Yes, it is.
I don't know. I always approach these things with a little bit of, not quite skepticism, but a sort of apprehension, because I know what comes out of these things is always what has to come out of these things, and what that is everybody discovering like the Goku Black equivalent, so that when the game launches for normal folks, the game basically doesn't exist outside of fighting Goku Black.
Yeah. You'd
Yeah.
think after having all these characters established for so long that there wouldn't necessarily be a Goku Black, but there's going to be one overpowered character.
The fact is that the system will be different, so there will be.
Yeah.
Because there always is.
Yeah.
Such
Yeah.
a thing to just emerge naturally. It's just that you don't have to like it, but it is something we do have to put up with.
Yeah. Yep. All right.
Yeah, so
I'm not sure if this is the full launch roster or not. So, anyway,
I don't know.
Considering they've vacillated at length on what's DLC and what's not, it probably is the full launch.
yeah.
Especially if they're basically they're starting in a sense a new franchise here, so a smaller roster is usually the way you go.
Yep, that's it. They've,
Yeah.
All right. So
This will be a fun one to follow. I can't wait to see how it compares to their other stuff and see what they're going to do mashing two pretty different, same genre, but pretty different fighting games together.
Yeah.
In general, when people try to do this, it falls apart. But I trust our
just want them
customers.
I just want them to dethrone another one of the boring old games that are taking up space at EVA that rightly belongs to Anime Fighters.
Capcom did that pretty effectively themselves over the last couple of games.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I don't know what their problem is.
So, yeah, if you've pre-ordered the game on the PlayStation Network, you can get in on the 9th. If you have not pre-ordered, you can get in on the 12th. And then the whole thing ends on the 14th.
Right.
So, yeah, okay, it's only 2 days for a pre-order, a non-pre-order rather, but hey, it'll get you an idea of what the game's like at least.
Yeah, but it's got that big fat guy from United Birth and big arms.
Oh,
Yeah.
Waldstein, isn't it? Or Gordeau?
No, Gordeau is the problem. Waldstein can be fat and a grappler all he wants to be.
That's right.
Gordeau, at least in his home game, is a pain in the butt to play against in every sense of the word.
That's right. Waldstein's the guy with the big arms and claws and things. Alright, so that's really about all there is on that one.
Yeah, I'm still hoping for some interesting surprises, either just before launch or just after launch, though. Like, because I really want to know what they're doing about adding new franchises to the table.
Yeah, hey,
They
throw
seem
some
pretty-
fate in there.
Yeah, like I don't have a lot of hope held out for that, but I mean, it
Yeah,
still could happen.
might get melty actually rather than fate.
I mean, that would be okay too. It's just I just don't want it to be Artoria again.
It's always
Like,
Artoria.
because she gets to cameo in everything.
Put Emiya or someone in.
Yeah,
I
Who
know, we
signs
see a
the
lot of
paper?
Emiya as well.
As if Nasu signs the papers, they can wiggle pretty much whoever they want into the universe.
Yep.
Nasu, once he's got to deal with you, generally goes, I don't care, do what you want.
I want Ku.
Yeah, I'd play Ku, except he'd die in 5 minutes.
Like, I think the exact words for how Scion got made were, he told the French bread team, I don't care, make a character you like, you think that's cool, I'll fix the lore later.
Yeah. So that's that. I wouldn't say no to Fate. I wouldn't say no to Melty in there, but it's got a pretty good lineup initially as well, just between those other 4 games.
Yeah, but it's got Ruby in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the real...
It's like you know, having it's like putting a like E-lister comics book superhero in a Marvel game. Like,
I don't know, they've done that plenty of times, like Howard the Duck keeps showing up.
but it's a joke character.
Yeah.
It's like, it's worse than that. It's like taking from like those third publishers that you've never heard the name of, like Atlas Publishing or something. It just that makes these random comics you've never read and nobody knows the name of, and throwing that in the game. That's what it's like.
Yeah, it's just not at the same caliber.
No, the thing is that it's Ruby's actually pretty popular in Japan. That's the thing.
Why? It's not
Because it's got
very
a different
good.
cast.
I suppose.
It's got a different cast. Voice actresses in Japan are professionals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, basically, voice acting in the West is a hobby that you get paid for. It is
Yeah.
not a job, unless you're Bryce Pappenbrook.
In this case, you just
Then you
see
take
everything.
everybody else's job
Yeah.
and make it harder to make the industry worth anything.
Or Nolan
But,
North.
yeah, generally speaking, there's not really any talent to speak of in the West compared to Japan. Like, Japan is highly competitive in that industry. Like, everybody is trying to be better than everybody else, so there's improvement. You can't just have a vocal range of one voice you use for everything. Like, they're good at what they do. There are good and bad voice actors in Japan, just like anywhere else. But they have a vested interest in improvement.
Yes.
Because there are lots of people trying to move into the industry. And I've heard the voice cast, they are better, straight up. And they're
Well,
not
that's-
merely a little bit better. They are
Even for
they
American
show
standards.
up they show up the original cast for the absolute joke that they are.
Yeah, that's not hard, to be completely fair, because they were literally pulled from the Rooster Teeth offices for people who weren't busy.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I say that they're a joke. They're not
Yeah,
they're not bad voice actors, they're a joke. Like,
They're not
the-
voice actors.
The brutal reality is that, like, Dragon Ball Z Abridged is an order of magnitude better,
Mm-hmm.
and they are all amateurs.
like, even in the US right now, if you're a really, really good voice actor who has nothing but praise under their belt, like someone like Crispin Freeman or, what's her name? Wendy Lee, you don't have to compete to get a job. You'll just walk in and kind of be like, oh yeah, you're pretty good, we'll just let you have the job. In Japan, the best people are fighting each other for positions. And they will do it to keep coming back to that character every single time it gets played for anything. In America, a role gets replaced. It's like, hey, Troy Baker couldn't do kanji anymore. We can get Matt Mercer in, I think. He sounds kind of like him, right? It's two totally different worlds.
So Ruby is popular in Japan. There is a boom in really janky looking CG animation at the moment.
Yeah.
and the biggest weakness that Ruby has, realistically, because there's a lot of trash writing in anime, the biggest weakness Ruby has on that front is really their cast in the English dub, because those voice actors and actresses are just so staggeringly spectacular bad, and what's more, they're the sort of bad which blatantly doesn't get better. Like, they haven't improved after all this time.
Yeah.
They literally found the loudest guy in the Achievement Hunter office, just walked in and said, "Hey, we need a new voice for the show. Come here and do it. You ever voice acted before? Nope. Here you go."
Fine. But yeah,
It'll be fine.
the animation, I suppose, isn't too big a draw. I mean, Berserk 2016 happened.
Well, the thing is that their choreography was good, while
everything
while
else
Monty
was rubbish.
alive,
While
Monty was alive, and while they were still cribbing from his notes.
yes.
Like I've mentioned on the show in the past, though, the moment that he was no longer involved and they were trying to, make their way in the world using, any other method, it was immediately horrible. Like the big climactic fight in the most recent season was boring. It was boring, visually boring. It was like Dragon Ball Z tier. Like old Dragon Ball Z tier, where they just repeated the same couple frames over and over again, and you were supposed to just interpret the excitement into it. It was like that. So, yeah, it's not. They're not good. The Rooster Teeth are not good. They traded on Monty's skill and his work ethic for so long, and when he's gone, like, the material he left behind was a vast quantity on account of him being such an obscene worker, but they're out of it now. So, yeah, I think that their tactic of just flailing plot threads everywhere is going to run out. But for the moment, from the perspective of the audience in Japan, RWBY still has potential. I mean, they probably haven't seen the new stuff and how far it's fallen.
Mm.
Yeah, it's weird being the ones that have the insight first this time.
It doesn't happen often, no.
But yeah, Dead RWBY. But the reason it's a wild card this time is because it's the only new IP here, and French Bread have apparently had some kind of interactivity with the development of the game. I don't know how deep it is, so the Under Night and Burst stuff should be okay. But with RWBY in there, I wonder what fighting systems they're going to use, or if they're going to kind of use them as the bridge to make all these systems fit together, whether they want to or not.
We shall see. Yeah. Annoyingly enough, though, this game is getting a lot of hate.
Oh, it's a crossover game and it's an anime fighter. It's going to get hate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about the fighting game community and their bizarre idea that anime fighters just need to stop existing. Like, you mad, brah? How are you even so mad?
They are very attached to the Street Fighter. Marvel vs. Capcom was a good video game, dang it, and they'll tell you that until they die.
The Marvel vs. Capcom 3 was great, yes. What's Infinite?
Some of them honestly believe it too. Oh yeah, some of them honestly believe it for Infinite too.
Yeah, I think they're lying to themselves.
Most people would agree with you.
Alright, who's got another piece of news?
Fudge.
Most of
I've
the
got
stuff
absolutely
not
nothing.
really. I suppose Nippon Ichi Software America screwed the pooch again.
They're good at
as
that.
They have been doing repeatedly. Like, they've always had a reputation for being pretty janky as far as doing things like localizing things goes. Like, they always get the job done eventually. Well, historically, they've always gotten the job done eventually, but it's usually, a bit of a messy process. But in this case, it's sort of like we're back in we're not quite back in Yeastland, where when they released East, the most recent one, they destroyed everything.
It was hot garbage. Yes,
the entire thing was an utter catastrophe. It just didn't work. period end. But yeah, it seems like they screwed the pooch again, to the extent that Disgaea 5's port PC, Disgaea 5 Complete, is basically they've had to push release to this time next year.
Wow, that's a big delay.
Yes, it is a big delay.
Glad I caved on buying that one.
Oh yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah. They were in the beta phase, in the bug fixing phase, and they were doing the corrections and they found a colossal issue. They haven't said what it is, but it's going to take them a year to fix it.
Wow.
I can't even begin to speculate. So all the demonstration keys that have been distributed have all been cancelled, and it's basically disappeared from stores like Steam and whatnot. Yeah, basically the entire thing is a humongous catastrophe.
It just sounds like an absolute mess, yes.
How are they even so bad at this game?
I'm wondering what really went wrong. It must have been completely game-breaking.
I haven't a clue, but...
Oh dear, speaking of game-breaking, my second screen seems to have just died.
That's not good for him.
No, it's not. No, there we go.
I was about getting the last demon for the entire base game compendium on the show. But you gotta beat the door before the final boss to unlock it.
Dorkun? Or not that door?
No, well, you do punch the door, but...
Right.
It's not our Dorkun.
That's okay. Dorkun's off dancing at the moment. It's fine.
Not our boy.
Right. Next news.
Next news.
What are we doing?
We're going around this old circle again. UK politicians say Fortnite harms children.
I think what the issue really is here is that people need to realise, and it's not a matter of it's not a simple matter of oh well, these politicians are sticking their oar on video games. No, what people need to realise is that politicians are not important. Period. End. Like that, you do not want them in your business in any capacity at all, because as soon as you give them an inch, they take a mile. The reason why they think that their opinion on video games should matter is because you convince them that their opinion matters by involving them in everything else. Like they need to just sit and warm their seats and be ignored by the rest of the world. They aren't able to be if they don't get convinced that their opinion carries some kind of weight, then they won't act as though it does. Or at least they won't do it in a public enough way that affects people, and that's really the issue right here. Like, this is just, how did this play out in Belgium recently? You can get 15 years in jail for putting loot boxes in your game.
Yes.
Like, that's just what happens when you turn to the government to solve your problem. Governments don't solve problems. Governments make problems. That's what they do. They are a necessary evil, because you need to have a agreed upon individual entity which has a monopoly on armed force. That's what government is for, so that individuals can't accrue armed force, and they are used, by agreement. You do not need them to come and solve the fact that you don't have self-control not to buy loot boxes. That's not what government is for.
Yeah. So we saw this happen a few weeks ago with a current affair in Australia, and for those who don't know, a current affair is basically our Fox News. It's
the problem
in the
is
worst
you're
way.
Saying that Fox News is like the single most reliable major network in America now, because the other ones have fallen so far.
Right, yes. That's actually really, really sad. So
CNN is actually worse.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, they are our CNN. Incidentally, CNN is moving into Australia. Ugh. So yeah, they made this big report saying, "Oh, Fortnite, it's harming our children."
Oh boy.
And You can look it up on YouTube as well. I'm not going to go through it because it gives me an honest headache. But it's the usual spiel of, they've done no research. They're just out to get clicks, basically, or views.
Right.
So it's the same story. There's some politicians obviously gotten onto that bandwagon and is milking it for all it's worth.
But think of the children, Fern.
No, I'm going to tell the parents to
they'll get him while he yells about them.
Get off my lawn. If you're a parent, most of them do, but there's the ones that don't, that's really driving it down for everyone else.
And they steal things from Fern's office.
Yes, they do.
But,
the world's terrible, but we still love you, folks. Keep listening to the show.
But the thing is that this is another example of people turning to government to deal with things that they should be dealing with themselves. Like, that's the reason why people seem to want the government to parent their kids, because they want the government involved in everything. The government is responsible, then you don't have to take responsibility for yourself. That's what the logic is in the end. It's not healthy logic. You do not want that. It should not be the state of affairs. But yeah, fortunately, that's just the way things are. People can't seem to keep the government out of things, and what do you end up with? You end up with that situation in Britain recently, where the government sentenced a child to death by starvation under armed guard. Because the government owns your children now. I
missed that entirely.
Yeah, it was basically this kid who his parent, the state decided that the kid needed to die because he wasn't going to recover, in their opinion.
Right.
And the government said that the parents don't have the right to keep the kid on life support, and the parents don't have the right to remove the kid to another country who will put the kid on life support. In fact, the parents did not have the right to take the kid home to die. They might try and skip country with their kid. Basically, it was a big debacle anyway, and this is not the first time that the government of the United Kingdom has sentenced a child to die for their ideals. But that's what happens if you keep giving the government power, is that they think that they own everything. They think that their opinion overrides all of your opinion on everything. So, I mean, you don't want them in video games if you want to keep your video games the way they are. Government is not your parent. It shouldn't be parenting for you either. So just leave it out. Leave it out. Don't go running to the government if you think that a game is unsuitable for your child. Don't let your child play that game. You actually have that power as a parent.
But Volacel, that requires me to do work and actually go read something on the internet about a video game that my kid told me to buy. That's thought, Volacel. I don't think you understand. As somebody who does not actually parent their own kid, this is impossible for me.
Oh dear.
I do not grasp. I do not grasp what is taking place here.
All right.
But, yeah, that's just the way of things.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to learn. The government does not solve problems. The government makes. So if you give them the opportunity, they will make your life very unpleasant, and they will tell you it's to help you.
Yeah, I'm guessing around Australia this is going to become the new smokescreen anyway. And every time you try and pin down a politician to actually answer something directly, they throw up their pet arguments and then run away while everyone's arguing.
Politicians are masters at talking
about
nothing.
It's like a lizard dropping its tail.
Yeah, or a tarantula throwing its hairs.
Really.
Politicians talk about nothing for a job.
Yeah.
And accidentally changes the world sometimes. That's what politicians do.
Yes. Occasionally they'll do something useful, but more often than not, they're just a burden.
Yeah, the government is not your friend.
No.
That's the reason why their power is supposed to be restricted, why they're supposed to listen to the people. Your job is to keep them in check.
Yes, as a politician, they're not supposed to have an opinion. They're supposed to have your opinion. And they seem to forget that.
They are servants of you, not the other way around.
It's called public servant.
That is true.
Anyway, tangenting.
Especially when there's no news.
Yeah.
You mentioned there's no news?
Pretty much. We got all this drama about Chris Avellone from Obsidian. I don't know how much of that I can talk about.
Well, there's not a lot to talk about other than the short version is that the video games industry is a hot mess.
Oh yeah, we already knew that.
Yeah, like the amount of ridiculous backbiting and argument and blackmail that goes on a daily basis in that industry, like, you don't really want to be working, to put it bluntly.
Yeah.
Like, you need to have the sort of passion that can get you through being abused for doing your job in order to work in the industry.
Up until you get to a point where you can make the rules.
Even if you are, you know, the person who makes the rules, it won't matter in the end, because the person who makes the rules is 110% beholden to the shareholder.
Yep. And shareholders are dicks, as we've already established.
Well, it's not that they're dicks. It's that they don't understand. It's not their job to understand.
No.
But they do. They will expect that it is their job to dictate.
Mm.
So they're basically like anybody else's boss, really.
Yeah. Think of shareholders as a non-sentient entity that is just there to make the dollar number go up.
It's
And
not
if
a
it's
bad
not happy,
comparison.
all your money just goes away.
Yes.
So
And sometimes your job and your business.
yeah, so you feed the Eldritch Abomination and keep the numbers up, and they leave you alone
Wow, they might.
Maybe.
until they get a great
Possibly.
idea. And then you have backup plans for when they do have those great ideas to make sure they don't ever do anything. If you know what you're doing as a company, anyway.
Throw something shiny in the opposite direction and get the job done while they're distracted.
Drop a smoke grenade.
We're just blathering, I think, at this point.
Yeah,
Well, what else is on the news docket?
That's it,
Scrolling
really.
up
There's
and
a
down.
whole lot of nothing.
I've been looking during the news segment and can't find anything worth talking about. Unless you want to talk about Overwatch Season 10 and how big a deal that is.
Definitely
Or more
not.
Fortnite garbage.
Are people still playing Overwatch, or do they all play Fortnite now?
I have no idea.
Some of them might even still play PUBG, but probably not.
I don't think.
So, I suppose a quick note on that. The developer for... Oh, what were they called now? Oh, no, I'm drawing blanks here. I think I may have mentioned it last week, but the developer for Lawbreakers entered the
right.
the Battle Royale market.
Yeah, because they're stupid.
Yeah, they did their whole, this is the 80s retro themed thing where everyone's running around a building, and it's got a terrible synth soundtrack. Hey, guess what? Nobody's playing it.
They really don't learn, do they?
Nah. So yeah,
No, sir.
no,
No, they do not.
the Battle Royale market is already cornered. Stop it. Entering it at this point, you're just shooting yourself in the foot.
Gotta wait a bit on that one. Just take a deep breath. You'll get it later.
Yep, give it 18 months or so.
Yeah, people are going to lose interest eventually. It's not even going to take all their life.
Then you can step in with your shiny new game and say, hey, remember this?
You don't want to be the guy who obviously looks like he's cashing. I don't know. That's the thing that's always weird about these genres that become infectious like this. Like, why would you pick things like games like LOL, games like World of Warcraft, games where people invest long term and then expect that they're just going to drop it for the latest?
Yeah, no, it doesn't happen.
It belies a chronic lack of understanding of it's not even, it would be ennobling it to call it player psychology. It's like basic human behavior.
You just don't look at the numbers.
Not only do people stick to the things that are familiar and that they are invested in, but they will also aggressively defend them. Like you're effectively not trying to convince them to play your game. You are also trying to convince them not to dump all over your game to their friends, so that their friends don't abandon them. Like you are actually operating in the face of a black PR engine that is your customer. You gotta be very careful doing that stuff. It's dangerous.
Yes. Alright, in that case, we should probably start wrapping up.
Yeah, there's nothing on Tech Raptor Release Gamer worth talking about.
It's not really much going on. Everybody's sort of holding their breath for their big E3 announcement, which turns out to be a damp squib.
Yeah, it happens every year.
The E3 announcement that there is an E3 announcement.
I think we've already had most of those at this point. And most of those announcements have been announcing that they're not announcing at E3.
Yeah.
Is your head hurting yet?
Yeah.
I'm tired.
Announcements about announcements are one thing, but announcing that you're not going to announce anything, it's even worse.
Or announcing your announcement of not announcing anything. Okay, let's...
Well, I guess you gotta tell people not to show up to your doors for the event in some way. I don't know.
Let's get out of here. My head hurts.
Diablo 3 is a Diablo game. That's what I'm learning here.
Yeah, yeah.
I killed some things, and they dropped some loot. And I've gotten a really powerful crown that I expect I'm going to have to turn over at some point.
Probably. You can't have the big shinies.
No. I think... Did you just kill a skeleton dude?
No.
Okay. That's not his drop then.
No, it's not his drop. I picked it up during a quest of some description. I could be wrong, but I wasn't paying a lot of attention. I was basically, running around pressing.
Oh, yeah, I think you take that back to the blacksmith and he tells you about his wife that you punched in the face and killed.
He's just... While I can see the crown is on my head, I can also see him hammering it on.
Wait, what? You made a copy!
Oh dear.
He's telling me about how he wants his life to mean something.
That's depressing.
My character says, then join my crusade. The work is hard, the rewards are fuel, and you'll surely die.
Your character needs to work on their motivation.
My character's a crusader. Her motivation is to hit things.
You have a point.
That motivation works too. You can start dumping money in him to level him up right away. You can level up pretty fast now. I don't even know why I kept the level up mechanic.
Yeah. Content gating, I guess.
So yeah. Sorry folks, I've been just completely burnt today. I just don't have any go in my system at all right now. I'm just so tired. I had to dig a hole right before the show after being up for 30 hours for work, so hopefully next week things calm down a little bit.
Seems like a very strange thing to me. Like you had to go outside and dig a hole.
Yes.
Well, yes. It is one of the costs of
people dig holes for reasons.
Yes. This is the thing when you live with your parents and you're 21 or 27. Golly, I'm still thinking like I'm a kid.
Hang on to that while you can.
No.
Go and buy a house.
No, don't do that.
No, I'm working on it. It's the next big saving thing. I've got everything else taken care of. So, we're getting there.
I think, Fern, that you don't seem to quite appreciate that your experience with buying a house is different to most people's experience with buying a house because you bought a house in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. With a
a
large mining magnate that's actively trying to destroy the property market.
That's what they do.
Yeah, well, they got to buy a good chunk of the town to, dig a big hole.
Yeah.
And Glencore's not exactly known for their warm fuzzies.
But yeah, here you're spoiled for choice, and the prices are fairly good right now, so I'm saving as fast as I can to try and get in on this buyer's market. I may have to break my taboo of don't take out a loan from the bank, period. Ever. For any reason.
Well, most people do for buying a house on account of it as close to impossible as doesn't.
Yeah.
That alone.
that's usually most people's exception to that rule.
Yeah, yeah.
Most people cap out before they even reach the value of a car. Like they'll take out a payment plan at least for a car. There are people who buy cars out. My parents was, but that most people are willing to take out a loan for a house because it's not reasonable to accumulate that much money in liquid and then not spend it. Like the fact is that having all of that money and doing nothing with it is kind of problematic as far as effective use of money goes. So just waiting until you have accumulated a vast amount of money that does nothing is not really efficient use.
Yeah.
Not when you can be, you know, living in a property and developing that property at the same time, because that takes time to do.
Yeah, and I'm aware of all the contradictions in it. I know what I really should do, but it's hard to shake it, man. It's been ingrained into me for so long.
I've got a trophy carrying my gear.
Wait, what? Really?
Yeah, you got to repair once in a blue moon.
But is that really worth a trophy?
Yeah, it's worth the trophy, apparently.
Here, the cheat, have a trophy. Let's get out of here.
Anyway, right.
All right, folks. We'll see you next week. I'll be more awake. Hopefully there will be content, and we'll have fun then. Sayonara, bye-bye.